We're at the edge of a precipice, which is similar to the way things were back in 2007. Similar, but much, much worse.
The truth is, since 2000, our debt has tripled, and our total liabilities and unfunded promises have more than tripled.
Such large and growing federal debt could have serious negative consequences.
There are things happening that will undermine the U.S. dollar long term.
The Russians suggested to the Chinese that they together dump all their U.S. money.
Georgia Republican Senator Saxby Chambliss. He was first elected in 1994. He spent 4 terms in the House and is ending his 2nd term in the Senate.
Over the last 6 years, particularly the last 4 years, I've been very frustrated. I know what our major problems are, and everybody knows what they are. You know, we're $18 trillion in debt. I mean, that's real money, and it is a handicap to everything we try to do, and it's not rocket science as to what has to happen.
For the past 3 years, Chambliss has been vice chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, alongside Chair Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein. Seeing what you see from your seat on that committee and in the Senate, what's your biggest concern?
My biggest concern today is homegrown terrorists.
That's interesting. Of all the things out there, I mean, Iran and North Korea, cyber terrorism, you think that the ISIS homegrown threat is the thing that keeps you up at night?
It really is, because I mean, we've already experienced some that we've talked about, have been public, and some that we've disrupted that we haven't been able to talk about. But there's a real focus by this group towards developing homegrown terrorists in the United States.
Those big-scale attacks, you think, aren't in the cards?
Well, from a cyber standpoint, I have a great fear about what may happen, and it will be major. The Russians, the Iranians, and the Chinese are getting more and more sophisticated from a cyber attack standpoint, and they would love nothing more than to try to take down some major entity or some facility, the grid, the stock market, that sort of thing. And it's coming.
Not just businesses, but the government.
Yeah, you know, between the Pentagon and one of our nuclear facilities, in the year 2013 alone, we had over 1 million cyber attacks per day.
1 million per day?
1 million per day.
The digital world. We rely on it more deeply every day. For our shopping, our banking, travel, and every kind of communication. But with so much of our lives now online, how vulnerable are we? Now, computer hacking is rising to a whole other level. A new generation of cyber weapons aren't just for stealing your credit cards.
My mouth was like wide open, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
But are designed for mass destruction, targeting factories, water supplies, power grids, and now they're on the loose. It's a digital arms race, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
This was a digital Pandora's box. Once it was open, you could not put the lid back on.
How can we protect ourselves on this new battlefield? Rise of the Hackers. Right now on Nova.
Back in the book segment tonight, a dire warning for the world.
Once Iran produces atomic bombs, all the charms and all the smiles will suddenly disappear. They'll just vanish. And it's then that the Ayatollahs will show their true face and unleash their aggressive fanaticism on the entire world.
And joining us now from Washington, Fox News political analyst Charles Krauthammer, who last week said on this program the Obama administration is surrendering to Iran on the nuke weapons front. So Benjamin Netanyahu obviously agrees with you.
Our position for 10, 15 years has been you cannot allow Iran to enrich, because once you do, you cannot stop it from going nuclear. What did we do? We conceded in advance the principle of enrichment. They are allowed to enrich. Question is how many centrifuges will we allow them to keep? So we were going to keep it down to a minimal number of 1,000, 2,000. Iran right now has 19,000. You know what it's demanding? 190,000. But what it means is Iran will be a few months away, and whenever it decides it's ready, they turn a key. In 3 months, 4 months, they're a nuclear power.
And it's an issue that the American people really don't know much about. They're not familiar with this issue. But the damage that could be caused in the event of an EMP attack, both by the sun, a solar event, or a man-made attack, would be catastrophic. You know, we talk a lot about a nuclear bomb in Manhattan, and we talk about a cybersecurity threat, the grid, power grid in the Northeast. And all these things would actually probably pale in comparison to the devastation that an EMP attack could perpetrate on Americans.
An electromagnetic pulse that can cripple everything from stoplights to computers to the defense grid. Tonight, correspondent Doug McElway tells us just how real a possibility an EMP is.
It was a campaign promise Iranian President Rouhani made last May. Quote, "Death to America is easy. We need to express death to America with action." The easiest way for some rogue state to do that, say some, would be by EMP, or electromagnetic pulse. It's a burst of gamma rays. Even low-yield nuclear weapons produce them. Detonated at the right altitude over the U.S., an EMP could fry the circuitry of electronics all over the country.
That means no water. That means no food. That means no telecommunications. That means no transportation. That means no medical supplies.
If it sounds far-fetched, consider that last July, a steamer owned by Iran's ally, North Korea, was found in Panama hiding nuclear-capable SA-2 missiles under 10,000 tons of sugar. Experts believe Russia has given EMP technology to North Korea. Our sun also produces EMPs through coronal ejections. A big one called the Carrington event occurred in 1859. Telegraph offices and lines caught fire. Experts say our electric grid is no better protected today than telegraph lines were then.
How prepared would you be if you had to live without your cell phone, electricity, your car, or water from the taps? You're like most Americans, you're not prepared. An electromagnetic pulse that pulse could come from an intense solar flare or possibly a nuclear weapon detonated in the atmosphere. Scientists say it would fry anything that has a computer chip in it, your cell phone, your car, even the entire electrical grid. Basically, it means that our way of life would drastically change in the event of an EMP.
You really got to think the basics. Food, water, shelter, protection. Those are the main elements, obviously, of surviving.
And we mean basic. Remember, no power, so we'd have to use hand tools, and we couldn't drive our cars. Basically, we'd be going back to the pioneer days.
The unfortunate thing, they grew up learning how to start fires and how to raise crops and to kill their food. We don't know how to do it. We know how to go shopping. We know how to spend money with an ATM card. All that would be gone.